Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991, from the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched Cast a Deadly Spell. Joining us on 1991 Movie Rewind. Cast a Deadly Spell takes place in an alternate universe version of 1940s Los Angeles, where magic runs rampant and monsters roam the city. Private Investigator Phil Lovecraft, played by Fred Ward, is one of the few that refuses to use magic, and that is why he is hired to find and return a very special book that's needed for a very special ceremony happening in just 2 days. Screenplay by Joseph Dougherty, directed by Martin Campbell, and debuting on HBO on September 7th, 1991. Have you seen Cast a Deadly Spell before?
No, I have not.
Me either. I don't know if I have heard of it until I was making this list. I don't recall seeing it on the shelves of the video store that I worked in.
Would this have been released on?
It was on VHS.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on VHS and then later on DVD. I think HBO says this was made for HBO. Yeah. It's actually our second TV movie in as many weeks on this podcast. HBO, was obviously like a very premium subscription cable service, and it still kind of is, right? But that's less of an issue these days than it was in the past. And so I think to bring people into the service, they had to, release some of their stuff on video so that people who don't want to pay for the monthly service or aren't decided yet, they'll rent the shows and VHSs and movies and stuff to, it's like marketing material.
Yeah.
Sort of like, let's put Sopranos out on DVD. People who don't have HBO rent the earlier seasons. They're like, oh, I need to subscribe to this now. So, same type of thing. It was definitely on VHS.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Wasn't Don't Tell Mom, the Babysitter's Dad, considered...
HBO, I think, helped
an HBO
produce
movie.
It?
But it was released in the theater.
Wasn't MTV part of that one?
No, it was an HBO movie.
I don't remember anymore.
It probably did go on MTV later on.
Yeah, I thought MTV, Oh, no. The thing was that MTV had to, force them to change the title because it was going to be Real World.
Yeah.
That's what the MTV discussion was.
I was just thinking that was like an HBO film. Yeah, but it was in the theater first.
It was definitely in the theaters, yes. So, HBO may have definitely had a hand in financing.
And this is just straight to HBO.
This one is straight to HBO. This is, made for premium cable movie. But it definitely could have been in theaters. The production value is there.
Yeah.
Much more than what we saw with Bare Essentials last week.
Oh, yeah.
This one has, aside from the long shots, aside from the long exteriors where you see the facades of the buildings, or near the end where you have, they're in the area with the gazebo and the little space where they're performing the ceremony. Those shots look really nasty and fake. There's this horrible composition of, real life plus, the painted backgrounds or, miniature sets or whatever it is that they were combining together.
Oh, yeah.
It just looked weird and awkward.
When they showed, it was just like a backdrop of a neighborhood, where it was a bunch of houses and it just looked like a high school play set.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was the problem with the long shots in this. Yeah. Also when he first went and saw Amos Hackshaw, the guy who hired him to find the Necronomicon. that exterior had like a very red sky background and everything. It just every exterior shot, like long shot, establishing cut, looked weird and nasty and fake, but the rest of it looked great.
Yeah.
Like even like opening sequence with Lovecraft just like going to the scene of a crime. There's like really good lighting and everything else looks good. The set decoration looks good. Even like the puppets and the monsters that they have in there. I mean, they look goofy at times, but they still look good.
Yeah.
I think I wish that there were probably more monsters in this, since we're on that topic already.
Yeah, it's like every monster that he came across was the comedy.
Yeah, it's meant to be a comedy.
But every monster was like meant to be a funny thing, or
yes,
whatever scene that they're in.
Yeah, all the humor that
is through the monsters. I think a lot of it's supposed to also be through the dialogue, like the witty, because it's the 1940s mystery movie, and so it has that type of delivery, the fast talking, quick witted, snappy comeback type of stuff, but it's just not funny at all. And there's like a couple jokes the
here
only
and there.
time, I didn't really laugh too much, but the only times that I did laugh was when he was interacting with the monsters. Mm-hmm. Well, mainly like the gremlins. I don't.
Yeah, so there's gremlins, which I think they're specifically meant to be spoofing the gremlins.
They look like the actual gremlins, but like
sort of,
with buck teeth and like red butts. I don't know. And they're gray colored. That's everything else looks like they're actual gremlins.
Right. Yes, there's gremlins that kind of terrorize this one like landlord person who he's trying to get information from, and like they're inside like the trunk of the car and they pop out and they're showing their asses and stuff like that. And that's really funny stuff. Just like the goofy design of them too, like the gargoyle has like googly eyes.
Yeah,
like, he gets kicked in the nuts, which evidently that means gargoyles have nards.
Right.
But like that kind of, and like he's dancing at one point. Like
he's
dancing up on the rooftop.
Like near the end, he's dancing, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, I didn't get that part really.
Yeah, no, it
like he was there just like watching.
That it was happening. I think
that there was a fight about to happen. He's like, "Oh, I'm excited."
No, I think he's celebrating. Yeah, like that this book is gonna be open or whatever.
Oh, then okay. Well, okay.
But he could have like.
See, I know this is like I don't know if this is.
Whatever.
I've never read any of H.P. Lovecraft's like any of his books.
No.
But I know this is. I don't want to say it's based off of it.
It's certainly inspired. I have no idea. Yeah, like I don't know what the actual stories are like. How true this is, or how much.
Yeah,
it takes
I don't know if the monsters in his books were meant to be comedic monsters. I don't know.
Oh, probably not. I think that's yeah.
So HBO decided to do that.
Yeah, I think they're probably going for something of a family appeal scenario. But
Does this have a rating?
I don't remember. I think it is PG-13.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to check on that or not. Obviously, when it's released on HBO, it doesn't need it, but when they send it off to home video, it gives them a better opportunity to be seen and rented. If they can get it rated and avoid an R.
It's rated R on IMDb. It says rated R.
Oh, really?
Which is odd.
The only reason I can really see it is I don't remember them using any bad language. There's no nudity. I think there is some blood and gore,
like violence, yeah,
but not much. Only a couple small scenes, like when that oatmeal monster thing happened in the restaurant. That was another funny I don't know, just funny reveal, like a big build up of like this pot is like boiling over,
right?
And, like something is being generated, and then all of a sudden like there's like this skeleton bird popping out of what looks like oatmeal, and then like starts attacking them, and the diner owner gets killed, and he stands up after getting killed, and he has like a really bloody face and stuff. So I mean, there is some parts in there that are.
Yeah, I mean, some of the characters are kind of funny. I mean, if you get the guy Larry or / Lily,
mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the stuff that he gets into, it's. I mean, I don't want to say it's meant to be comedic.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you think that lent to being an R-rated movie?
Oh, because he dressed up as a woman? Because
there's like a cross-dresser in this?
I mean, and this movie also gave me like hardcore Twin Peaks vibes. And because even with like the colors and tones, like everything's like very red. And then even this character, Larry Lily, the same as Dave Duchovny's character in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I can see that. And also, like, even when it's not colored red, like
Twin Peaks was on.
The whites are very
TV.
vibrant and stuff like that. Yeah, Twin Peaks was on TV, and I feel like
I know it was on late at night.
It wasn't that far removed in terms of subject matter and like gore even. You know what I mean? Like this is not that much different in terms of content. So I don't know if this really deserves an R for that reason either.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I understand that. For me, I just kept on thinking of like the LA Noir video game because it's 1940s
yeah, because it's
LA
40s,
and,
yeah.
They have that little area where they're building like a subdivision that's abandoned, and that's key to the plot, sort of like how it is in LA Noir too, the video game. And then obviously, just the Lovecraft stuff. It's like, oh man, we should play Eldritch Horror board game
I was thinking a lot of the board game of Eldritch or
Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, either or. They're both good.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about how I kind of wish this movie was more like how the board games are. You know how they have to. You're going across the world. Like, you have to go to Brazil and open up, like, a realm or something. I don't know. And then people are, like, meeting up. And, like, they were only doing it in L.A. Like, I understand that.
Yeah, and it's focusing on, like, one specific case. And it's just, like, one person trying to solve the mystery as opposed to, like, a group of people who are combining forces. So, yeah, I understand. I do wish there were more, like, fantastical creatures in this, though. Because you have the gremlins... You have
like
werewolf,
the Cthulhu at the end. You've got like.
Yeah, they make mention of
the vampires and werewolves, which is regular monsters. It's
but
like
you only
not
see the one elder god, and you don't really see much creativity in some of the lesser monsters, except for I guess like that bird oatmeal creature thing, whatever that was.
Yeah, and they didn't really use the names that they use for the board game. Like Shoggoth or something like that.
Yeah, they said Yog.
The Yogog.
I didn't write it down, honestly. It was like Yog Sothoth or something like that.
Okay, yeah. Those are like, some of the monsters.
They did have a couple of legitimate names, but you only get to see one of them near the end. And it didn't look anything like I was really expecting. It was kind of just like a slimy, melty turtle with like,
right.
an internalized, like, secondary mouth that pops out.
Oh yeah.
So it was not what I was expecting in terms of the monster side of things. Also, not really much of what I was expecting in terms of the magic too, because I was excited to see this movie. I didn't know about it before, but when I was building the list and sort of like reading the description, it's like, oh, this is a unique concept. I didn't know anything about the Lovecraftian connection from like the little blurb on IMDb when I was like formulating all the information for the list. It just said, 1940s LA where magic is being used by everybody. Like, oh, that's cool.
But not everyone used magic.
And it doesn't get used all that much. I mean, it does here and there. Like, there's little tiny sequences, but like I was expecting it to be
a bit more centralized in some of the plot points.
I mean, the main character, Phil, he's like anti-magic.
Yeah, and they say he has his personal reasons, which has to do with, like, his former partner and his former girlfriend, but I don't think we ever really understand why he's anti-magic specifically.
Yeah,
he's just anti-corruption, and I guess he associates magic with corruption, but they don't really spell it out. But there's people who are, occasionally using magic around him, like, in the beginning, like someone just creates flame in their hand to light up their cigarette.
Yeah, when they go to the police office or when they're just going to that area, there's people opening drawers and stuff just by waving their hand.
Exactly.
And like retrieving a file just by, sitting from their seat. They just kind of reach their hand and the file comes out of the drawer and flies into their hand. You see stuff like while he's walking down the hallways of things, you see people doing stuff like that. Just, like normal everyday things they use magic for.
Yeah, just like little conveniences that they toss into the background here and there for the most part. But like,
so it seems like everyone's using magic just for, it's not like, I don't want to say magic for doing something bad. It's just, I don't know, like Harry Potter. I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, they're trying to just do normal everyday life using magic. That's how everyone is in LA in this movie.
For the most part. But there's obviously people who use it for negative
I know people do
too.
it for negative, but when he's like walking around and in the background you see the regular people just doing random magic, like flushing the toilet without using their hands. I don't know, like stuff like that.
Yeah. But I think what hurts this movie a bit is that the rules aren't really established as to like what kind of magic is possible or like when or whatever.
It's like did everyone all of a sudden have the ability to use magic?
Yeah, like how do you police that? Because obviously there's a police department in this movie that's involved, and like how
deals with the fantasy side of things.
Yeah, it's like, could people just make evidence disappear? Like there's no concept of what the rules are. And it has, I don't know, like in that diner scene with the oatmeal bird thing, like he's, Lovecraft is being chased by like not chased, but like he's being shadowed by a thug.
Yeah,
a heavy
Tugwell, I think.
Tugwell, and he's like writing down these runes on a piece of paper, and he gives it to the owner to give to whoever. And so evidently whoever has the runes or is near the runes will have something bad happen to them. And so that's like why he's chasing him down, and he's like, but like it's so hard to build that world when we don't know the rules of the world, but he has to like quickly explain it during like the chase scene, and he like grabs a hold of the chef or the owner or whatever, and he's like, whatever happens to me is gonna happen to you if you're this close to me, so tell me what I need to know. Like, okay, evidently,
we don't know the rules.
We haven't seen runes, we haven't seen this paper before, there's no establishing concept of what's going on. And then here comes Oatmeal Bird skeleton, and it's a cool scene, but like it just sort of it epitomizes the concept of we don't know what's going on or who can do what, so it's tough for us to know what kind of level of danger anyone's in at any given time, and so on and so forth. But Tugwell seems to be using all of the negative magic.
Yeah.
So Tugwell works for...
so I don't know if are there rules like no dark magic allowed?
Yeah, and then like how do you learn that? How do you learn who
It's like, that's why I'm thinking, like, is this like Harry Potter? Do you go to like a school to learn these things? Or is it like everyone has... Or just all of a sudden everyone has the ability to do some sort of magic?
They must be learning it at some point. I don't know. Early in the movie, they're like, hey, it's, the 1940s or 1948. Everyone's using magic. Get with the times. This is the future. Like, they say that type of dialogue. So it makes it sound like it's something that's kind of been bubbling up for a while, and now, I don't know, maybe it's more explained in something, like if it is taken directly from a Lovecraft novel, it's probably explained a lot better in that than it is here.
Or it's like certain people have the ability to do certain things.
Yeah, but, you know, we have no idea.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, Tugwell is the one who's using most of it nefariously. He's working for a man named Harry Borden, played by Clancy Brown, who we learn later is Lovecraft's former police partner.
Yeah.
Tugwell is basically Borden was trying to get that book, the Necronomicon. He got a fake one from this, you know, whatever person was delivering it to him. This guy, Freddie, was it? Mickey.
Yeah.
And then Tugwell chases after him and confronts him in a bathroom, and Mickey's like, "I'll share the money with you. I'll share the money with you."
Yeah.
And he pulls out the money, and it was all fake. There was never any actual deal. He was always going to get killed, no matter if he delivered the real one or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, yeah, Tugwell makes all of the paper spin around and, like, death by 1,000 paper cuts, basically.
I thought that death was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was, and it was very early on. So
that was like one of the first magic you see, first use of magic that you really see, and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, and in general, the effects in this movie are good.
Yeah.
I think they're good at limiting the scope of the magic to meet what they could practically do. Like, you don't have a whole lot of, like, lightning bolts. You don't have, you know, fire shooting out of hands and, like, all kinds of crazy stuff that would look weird. You know, you have, like, stuff like this where a whole bunch of paper is just swirling around them or something like that. Or a gargoyle coming to life where you can just, you know, transition to a guy in a suit. You know, stuff like that. So I think they did a really good job with all of that. And, you know, keeping it with, like, puppets and stuff. But they also have a zombie, which I didn't realize was a zombie at first. Did you? Did you make that connection? The big tall thug next to Tugwell?
I didn't know that he was a zombie until maybe halfway through.
Yeah, because then they were saying, like, oh, what happens to your zombie friend here? And he's like, oh, he's going to stink eventually, and we'll just replace him with a new one that we import from the West Indies. And like, oh, okay, so there's zombies.
I just thought he was their bodyguard, and that's just how he looked. I don't know.
I mean, he has he's
white
got like eyes, white pupils.
But
basically.
I was like, I mean, I know that this is like a fantasy world. I didn't know he was a zombie. I was just like, oh, that's just, I don't even know, a bodyguard with
some sort of demonic aspect to him. But beyond that, I didn't know. But the zombies were kind of funny too. I don't know. Like when they showed like a bunch of zombie construction workers at that, you know, subdivision that they're building. It's just kind of funny to watch them just mindlessly build or just saw without really paying attention or looking at anything.
And I'm like, how I don't know. I was just like, how are zombies doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it was vaguely
I know
racist
it's fun.
At the same time,
because they do have dark skin.
Yeah, they're all people of color. They're all black, and you know they're forced to build houses.
I was like, I don't know. Is this some like, I don't know. Is that a metaphor for something?
Yeah, it could be a purposeful connection. But it was still just the actions that they were taking were funny, and how they were building things and just like falling over themselves was.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of lazily doing anything.
Yeah.
Like how a zombie would.
Yeah, it's like, why would you hire them? Like,
because
or
they're
just
you know, make these people, and then how do they get these zombies? They
said, you can just buy them and bring them across. Yep. Metaphor. So where are we with the plot? We kind of jumped all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, there's two bad guys really. The one is the more obvious one, Harry Borden, Clancy Brown. He also has he owns a nightclub, and Connie Stone is the singer in the nightclub, and also his girlfriend, played by Julianne Moore, who we learn had also a history with Lovecraft. I guess they were previously romantic partners, and they all split whatever at some point. And so she becomes involved in the whole story and helps to feed Lovecraft information here and there. That's really what her contribution is for the most part, until near the end where you have all the twists and turns of the plot, which I don't know if we want to reveal or not. It's up to you. And then we also have Amos Hackshaw, who is the I don't know what he's supposed to be. He's very rich. He has like a mansion. He has like 30 different aquariums in his room. Where they have this initial meeting. He owns the gargoyle that comes to life and starts shadowing Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And he also has a 16-year-old daughter named Olivia, who we first see before we even meet Amos. She's out hunting unicorns on horseback.
So Amos Hackshaw, he hires Lovecraft.
Yes.
To find Hackshaw's former chauffeur, who is Larry Willis, who stole the Necronomicon. Yeah.
And it was more about getting the book back. He needs that book.
Yes.
Within 2 days by midnight, because there's a very important ceremony that has to happen at that time.
Yeah, he's got like 2 days to get this.
Yeah, so find Larry Willis to find my book, basically, is the goal. And no one's heard of Larry Willis.
Yeah.
Or pretends that they haven't heard of him. And so, yeah, we meet Olivia as well. And she's, like, super flirty right away.
Yeah, and they said, what, she's like 15, 16?
16 years old.
Okay.
And I think part of it, it's one of those types of situations where it's like you don't know if you're supposed to trust the woman or not.
Okay.
I mean, that's sort of like, that is something of a recurring theme in noir movies, where you have this like mysterious damsel type of dame who may or may not be in distress, and can you really trust her? She gives off that vibe. And since she's also the daughter of the person who's hiring Lovecraft, it's also tough to know. Her flirtiness makes it sound like she maybe knows more than what she does, or that she may be involved in it somehow initially. That's the vibe I was getting early on. But yeah, I mean, I think that's also supposed to be like a funny sequence where he's throwing all kinds of like dry quips back at her while she's trying to flirt with him, and and it just didn't land, because the whole time I'm thinking like, this is like I don't know how old Fred Ward was at this time, but he looks like mid-40s to me.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, he was a former boxer, so he always perpetually looks older than he probably was. Against like this 16-year-old person. Obviously the actress was like 23 or 24 at the time that she played this role, but still, like 16-year-old versus like 40s. It was just kind of like, I can't really pay attention to the dialogue. This is just awkward. And then, he leaves, and it's like raining blood, which is also a nice little cool effect, I guess.
Yeah.
Very, very simple, because it's just, splattering red water onto a window pane, but it's still, like, unexpected to see that happen, so it's kind of cool. And so, yeah, then he just gets into his PI work. And I'd say, like, in terms of the mystery solving, the PI side of things, this was definitely better than V.I. Warshawski in that regard, if we want to compare it to the other private investigator movie that we've seen so far.
Okay.
I think like the mystery solving was better here.
Well, yeah, because he was doing his own work and actually trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, and there was like clues that he was following and like interviewing people, whereas it seemed like just stuff happened with Kathleen Turner's character. Just kind of weird that we've seen 2 PI movies already too.
Yep.
So yeah, he gets involved in all those different characters that we talked about before. Has to escape the diner with the oatmeal monster. I keep coming back to that. And he eventually solves the mystery of who Larry Willis is.
by learning that he's attached to this guy Mickey.
Yes.
Who's involved with someone named Lily Sirwar. And Lily works at the same club as Harry Borden and Connie Stone. So he's able to track Lily down. And that's when the first big reveal of the movie, which, depending on your perspective, is not so much a reveal, but that Lily Sirwar is Larry Willis. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that was probably too much of a surprise to either of us, because you see Lily early on in the movie.
Yeah, we don't know.
She's there at the train station.
Yeah, we don't know.
She doesn't talk.
Who she is yet. We just see her waiting for someone.
Yeah, well, it's pretty obvious that she's waiting for Mickey. Mickey leaves her a clue that says it's not safe here, run. Right?
Yes.
And that's basically all we get.
She looks like she's just on the run.
Yeah.
And Tugwell and his zombie, I guess, find him.
Yeah, find Mickey. But don't notice Lily or know that she's involved or whatever.
Yeah,
One
they
of the
don't
two
know.
or both.
They don't know that Lily is Larry. They just saw Mickey, and that's when Mickey gets killed in the bathroom by paper cuts.
Yeah. But now it's Lily's turn. It's an interesting scene. I don't know. It's also probably another one of the gruesome scenes, because, like, died by, like, the punch through the chest. So you have, like, the grotesque death scene involved in that. There is an F slur thrown in there as well as part of the conversation, just casually, as was the 90s. And then, I don't know, then, like, the whole mystery starts to conclude after that, really, because Lily/Larry had the real Necronomicon with her. And then that's when, I don't know, the rest of the stuff happens. I don't know.
Well, that's when, Amos gets a hold of it.
Shortly after, like, he delivers it to Amos, right? Mm-hmm. All the while, we haven't talked about this yet, because I don't know how much it really impacted the story as it's supposed to. Lovecraft has a landlord for his business office.
Yes.
Named Kropotkin? Hippolyte? I don't know how to pronounce the first name. Hippolyte Kropotkin, played by Arnetia Walker. I don't know how to pronounce any names. She's like a voodoo witch. We see her at the very beginning doing something or other on the roof of a building. She's a voodoo witch / dance instructor.
Yes.
And so, like, one of the recurring jokes is that he gives, that Lovecraft keeps on accidentally giving the dance instructing business cards to people instead of his own PI business cards, because she's like, hand these out, you're behind on your rent, promote my stuff. Anyway, she gives him, she knows what's going on, she knows the importance of Necronomicon and what it means and what's going to happen at that ceremony. And so she slaps like a white magic bracelet on Lovecraft, which is supposed to ward against some sort of evil. We never see it like activate, quote unquote.
Yeah,
like, we don't see it like glow,
him
or we don't
use
know
it or that thing in use.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it must have protected him in some way, but we don't know exactly how. They don't show it.
Yeah.
Or say that
I mean, she is the first person that we see when we watch this movie, too, because you see her doing, like, a chant.
Yeah.
Or some sort of
for her
spell.
dead husband, Nikolai, that's up on the roof there. Mm-hmm. And then she also bails him out when he's taken to the police after the oatmeal bird murder thing happens. Because the police chief there is trying to get him to, help him out, and I don't know. And that's when we start to learn about his past and like how he used to be partners with Borden and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, so he has the Necronomicon, he has the white magic thing. Despite his protests, it's there and locked by magic, so he can't get it off.
And then he hands over the book over to Amos, and then they do the ceremony because that all they meet at the location where the ceremony is supposed to happen, which is that subdivision, trailer park, whatever thing you want to call it, with the big old gazebo there. And so he hands over the book. But Borden is also there and all that kind of good stuff. And so there's all kinds of twists and turns and slimy, melty turtle creatures that pop out of the gazebo. And like ground opening up and Yog Sothoth coming out of the whatever.
They're the final ancient one.
Yeah, the elder.
They have to. Yeah, they have
elder
to.
God. They have to sacrifice the virgin to him,
right?
To it, and then things go wrong. So.
Yeah. So Amos. Well. Yeah. So we just find out that Amos is, using this dark magic, and he's going to use his daughter, who is a virgin, as the sacrifice.
And they know she's a virgin because only virgins can hunt unicorns, and that's what she was doing. We don't see a successful hunt, but she was chasing after it.
She's just, they just show her with blood on her shirt.
Yes.
Or on her face or something. She was like, I just came back from a hunt. And I was like, why are you hunting unicorns? Like, they're the most amazing creatures. I don't know.
Maybe they're very prevalent in this world, though.
What are they?
Maybe they're not super rare.
What are they, like, unicorns are, like, demons or something? Like, what?
Who knows? Yeah, maybe they're scourges.
I don't know. I was like, why are you killing a unicorn?
Just another little bit of fantasy into the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought the ending was interesting in that, it did take a couple turns, even though they were mostly predictable. I don't know. I don't know if you thought they were or not, but I mean...
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the whole sacrifice goes wrong. Amos gets...
eaten,
like sucked into the Ancient One's second mouth or whatever.
Yeah.
Which goes into his first mouth and then chomp.
I did find it weird that Lovecraft was trying to stop Amos from being eaten, but when Olivia was up for grabs, he did nothing. He didn't run after her or anything like that either.
That was a little weird. I don't know.
It's just something.
Yeah, I don't know why he wanted to save Amos, because Amos is his client. I don't really know.
Or if it's just because he's another human being, maybe? I don't know.
But why not Olivia? I don't know.
But why not Olivia is the big question. I don't understand. So, it is what it is, and basically what it means is, bad guys lose, good guys win.
Yep.
And...
But that was kind of... Yeah, that was a very anticlimactic ending, because I thought there was gonna be a hardcore fight with this Ancient One.
Oh, okay.
Something was gonna happen. That's why he has the fucking bracelet.
Sure, yeah.
That was his charm to keep him, like a shield or whatever.
And maybe he could learn that magic is good.
Yeah, what if he all of a sudden started using magic just to kill this thing? But all that thing did was suck up Amos into his mouth and then went away.
Yeah, it just sort of sunk back into the ground and that was it.
I was like, that was it?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if he then I was just he was like, oh, this isn't a virgin, goodbye. I don't know. Or he was, but wouldn't that make him even more mad?
Evidently not. Well, maybe it was enough to make him mad at the person who summoned him, and that's why he ate Amos.
It was just a very weird ending. It was, the build-up was to nothing.
Yeah. Makes sense. I don't know. I thought it was maybe going to, set up a sequel or something too, because it seems like there's a world that is sort of being built here.
Yeah.
Just it could go farther if it wanted to. And there was a sequel to this movie.
Yeah.
In 1994 called Witch Hunt. So nothing, no way of knowing it's a sequel except for, I don't know, maybe the promotional material said so, but it starred Dennis Hopper and then Penelope Ann Miller?
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper plays the same character, right? Phil
yes,
Lovecraft?
But it's like in the 50s now, so I don't know.
10 years later.
Yeah, so it's just him or older.
At least 5.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean, that much older? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There was a lot of good parts to it. I think this movie falls under the same sort of trappings that a lot of, like, mixed genres and period pieces fall under, where, like, it's a cool concept of, you know, having, like, magic and monsters in this historical time period where we know it didn't exist, unless it's a huge, massive conspiracy or cover-up or whatever. But, like, it's just not executed well, possibly because we know it didn't happen that way. You know, like, think of, like, things like Cowboys and Aliens. Like, we know there weren't big shootouts between cowboys and aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Pride and Prejudice and zombies. We know that zombies didn't exist in that era of time. Mm-hmm. So they're cool concepts that maybe have, like, their niche, but overall, there's something that holds you back from fully immersing yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the special effects were cool. The creatures were cool, even if they were kind of obvious. The setting was good. Story was okay. It wasn't funny, though. It wasn't as funny as they wanted it to be.
Yeah, I don't know when they were trying to... I mean, I was laughing at parts, but it was at parts that were not meant to be funny. Like, when... We didn't even talk about, like, anything about, like, Julianne Moore, like, her singing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was mostly laughing at... She sang 2 songs, and I was laughing at the lyrics to these songs.
Well, one of those songs won this movie an Emmy.
That's just so weird. Because, I mean, the score was fine.
Yeah.
But the 2 songs where she sang, I was like, I don't know, this is so cheesy. It's, you know, it's like typical jazzy...
Yeah, it was like
satisfy me type stuff.
It was trying to mimic, like, the standards of the 40s, like the club hits. But
right.
It's a brand new composition, and so yeah, it's kind of like kind of cheesy and hokey. I kind of wish there was more score. I feel like there's a lot of places where it's just dead silence and dialogue, and it kind of made me a little bit tired, honestly. Just watching it with, like, no background sounds or no ambient music or anything
I did see that the score for the second movie, for the sequel, is scored by Angelo Badalamenti, and I'm curious.
Well, this one was done by Kurt Sobel. He had done... He's done some stuff. He's done a lot more sound editing rather than composing work. We'll also hear his work on the 1991 movie Defenseless. And yeah, so he has an Emmy nomination for the sound editing in this movie at the Primetime Emmy Awards, and then he also won for writing and helping to write the music and the lyrics.
So to those 2 songs?
For Why Do I Lie? That song specifically won the Emmy for Best Outstanding Individual Achievement in Music and Lyrics is the actual category. So basically, Best Original Song for the Emmys.
Okay. I want to know the other songs that were
Yeah, I didn't look, nominated. Actually. Yeah, I don't know. He definitely was not nominated for the other one that was performed in this movie.
Do they usually do best songs for TV shows?
They might not anymore. You know,
I know
categories do evolve over years, and this wasn't really called Best Song. Again, it was Outstanding Individual Achievement in Music and Lyrics. So it could have even been like a special category. We could look it up and put it on the website. But yeah, I mean, out of the 2 songs that we heard her sing, Why Do I Lie was a better one. It was like
yeah, because the first one was like, you satisfy me, and you have to... I don't know. I forgot the lyrics. It was just really cheesy.
Yeah. Yeah, Why Do I Lie is more somber, and it's like, oh, why do I do this to myself type of a thing.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, the score in the movie is very good. It's what you sort of expect to hear in a 40s noir type of a setting, but it does the job. So we can talk about the cast and crew. We've mentioned some of them by name, but not gone over their history. Martin Campbell. Oh, but I should say the awards that I just talked about, those are the only awards that I found associated with this movie. Were those 2 Emmy situations. Martin Campbell, the director, he has a BAFTA win on the TV side for a miniseries called Edge of Darkness. Not the movie version starring Mel Gibson, although Martin Campbell, I think, also was involved with that. Martin Campbell also directed 1991's Defenseless, which has Kurt Sobel's music, so they collaborated. He's probably best known. He also did The Mask of Zorro. He also did GoldenEye and Casino Royale, so he's basically been at the helm of like the rebooting of the Bond series 2 different times. You know, the first Pierce Brosnan and then also the first Daniel Craig Bond were both his. So really interesting that he has that kind of pedigree behind him. Joseph Dougherty, the writer, he is an Emmy winner for 30-something, and he has 2 more nominations for that show. He also wrote the 1991 movie Steel and Lace, and he also wrote the sequel, Witch Hunt. He's also done TV shows like Judging Amy, and most recently Pretty Little Liars is his as well. Which I've never seen, but I know it has like a pretty big following. People. This seems like it'd be much different than Pretty Little Liars. Fred Ward plays Lovecraft. He's in the 1991 movie The Dark Wind. I know him most for the Tremors movies. I don't know about you.
Right.
Henry and June, he's in The Right Stuff. Remo Williams, Escape from Alcatraz, Naked Gun 33 and a Third. He's also the dad in Road Trip. He plays DJ Qualls' dad in Road Trip. And so he's been in a whole bunch of stuff. He's also in Shortcuts along with Julianne Moore, who plays Connie Stone. Julianne Moore, oh man, there's way too many awards and nominations to talk about with her. Oscar winner for Still Alice, nominated for Far From Heaven and The Hours in the same year. End of the Affair and Boogie Nights. She's an Emmy winner for Game Change as Sarah Palin. She also is an MTV Movie Award nominee for Best Kiss. Can you guess the movie? It's a weird one.
Is it like Big Lebowski or something?
No, it's Hannibal. She shares Best Kiss nomination award for Hannibal with Anthony Hopkins.
I did not like that movie.
I didn't like that movie a whole lot either.
That's so weird.
Yeah, that's another like weird, creepy Best Kiss thing that they just kind of threw in there for laughs. And she also has a Razzie nomination. This well-accomplished, like probably one of the top 5 top 5 actresses of this generation. There's a lot of great
actresses that also have gotten Razzies.
Yeah, hers is for the movie Seventh Son, which I don't really even remember at all. She was also in another TV movie in 1991 called The Last to Go. It's not on our list because we can't find a watchable version of it, but you know she's been in everything, and always does a good job, except for I guess in Seventh Son. We didn't talk about David Warner, Amos Hackshaw. He has been around forever as well. He has an Emmy win for Masada. He was also nominated for Holocaust. Those are both, I believe, TV miniseries. I could be wrong about that. He also has a BAFTA nomination from 1966. So again, he's been around for a long time. He was in Twin Peaks in 1991. He does so much stuff. He does honestly 4 or 5 different projects a year. In 1991 alone, David Warner, Amos Hackshaw was in Twin Peaks, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Blue Tornado, Drive, and Star Trek 6. So we're going to be seeing him a lot. But you may know him from The Omen or Tron, Time Bandits, Titanic. He also does a lot of voice acting work in the Batman animated series, as well as Freakazoid and other stuff like that. And the weird little piece of trivia I found about him is that he was originally going to be Freddy Krueger. And then he dropped out sort of later in the process and went to...
That's interesting.
Went to, what's his face? What's his burned face? Clancy Brown... I recognize him more from Highlander than anything else.
Oh, okay.
So he was one of the, the one fighting to be the immortal back then. He's also in the 1991 movies Ambition and Past Midnight. You may know him from Shawshank Redemption or Starship Troopers. You'll also have heard his voice as one of the Gargoyles in the Gargoyles Disney cartoon show. He does Neo Cortex in the Crash Bandicoot games. He is Lex Luthor in a lot of the DC animated stuff. And he's also Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob SquarePants. So he's busy on the voice side too.
Yeah, he always plays like a bad guy.
Yes, he almost always plays a bad guy. Arnisha Walker. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah, I think it's Arnisha.
That's probably right. Who played Miss
I think it's
Kropotkin.
Hippolyte?
We'll go with that. I trust you a lot more than I trust myself.
I was just looking it up. I think it's named after like a Greek god or goddess, and it's like Hippolyte.
That makes sense. They don't really say her first name like ever.
Yeah, they just call her by her last name.
Yeah.
But they say it really fast, and I was like, how do you say it? Because they go Kropotkin.
Yeah, Kropotkin.
Like really, really fast.
But yeah, she's an interesting character. She actually has like more lines and like a heavier part than what we kind of alluded to in the plot summary here. She's also in a 1991 movie called The Whereabouts of Jenny. She was in Nurses for 68 episodes, that soap opera. Also in a thing called Scenes from the Class Struggle in Beverly Hills. Her big claim to fame is that in the late 80s, in Broadway, I believe, she has played all 3 different dream girls at various different times on stage. She's like the only person apparently who has done that. So she got her start in the stage and singing, and then moved on to acting. We've also seen Tugwell before already in this podcast. I'm not sure if you recognize him or not, but Raymond O'Connor, who played Tugwell, was one of the goons in Life Stinks.
Okay.
Who had like 1 or 2 lines.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I remember he's the little guy.
Yeah, this littler guy in Life Stinks that terrorizes Mel Brooks' character. He's also in the 1991 movies Pirates, as well as Tag Team. He was also in the LA Noir game.
So we have our second person in LA Noir.
Yeah, at least. There may be more that I just haven't mentioned or listed, but yeah. And then I think the other big person, I mean, some of these other people may or may not be worth mentioning, I don't know. But we're going to go with Becky Mullen, who was in a very small scene at the start. So in the opening scene, like the detective Grimaldi is like escorting this woman to the cop car. I don't remember exactly why. Oh,
yeah, and then she punches him?
Yes.
And then that was it.
That was it. The only reason I wanted to mention her at all is that's Becky Mullen. And she was one of the original Glow wrestlers in the 80s.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
She played Sally, the farmer's daughter. It's like, I mean, she died in July 2020, unfortunately. But she transitioned from being a gorgeous lady of wrestling as Sally, the farmer's daughter, and then worked on stuff like this. And then she was in like some, Skinamax, USA Up All Night type stuff, like Hard Hunted and Bikini Car Wash Company 2. So, like, I want to mention the zombie who has no lines in this movie at all, like the big thug zombie, Jamie Cardrish. He was most notably in Malcolm and Eddie. He was also in the movie Freaked. Have you seen Freaked?
No.
It was a weird movie from like 1994-ish or so. It's Alex Winter's like pet project that he did like after Bill and Ted, and it's like just like a bunch of like weird like goofy creatures and stuff. So he's in that one. He's also in Deep Cover and also House Party 1. He was also a wrestler, so I wanted to mention that because got the wrestling connection. He was a pro wrestler in the Pacific Wrestling Alliance, known as the Harlem Warlord. So we got 2 wrestlers in this whole thing. I'm not much of a wrestling fan, but it's just interesting that those things are there. And then, we'll talk about Larry Willis / Lily Serwar, which is Lee Turgison. Did you recognize Lee Turgison when you first saw?
Not when he was Lily, but when he was Larry, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it took me, the face looked familiar. Honestly, it looked a little bit like Patricia Arquette in that first scene to me.
When he was dressed as a woman?
When he was dressed as Lily. And then, the second time we started to see Lily, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's who that is. This is, near the beginning of his career. We know him probably best as Tobias Beecher from Oz.
who goes through like a cross-dressing arc as well.
Yes.
In that show.
I mean, yeah, he goes through a lot of shit.
Yes, he goes through a lot of shit in
like
that show.
Literally too.
Yes.
But if anyone's seen Oz, you will know.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's like, it's just interesting because there's a lot of people that are in the show Oz that we've talked about now, and it's just interesting.
It's also, the HBO connection is interesting here too. It's like, I mean, in those days of like the Oz and the Wire, like there's a lot of cross-pollination between the casts. Like it seems like they have like a stable of actors almost that they just rehire over and over and over again. And like, I don't know, maybe HBO like knew of him from Cast a Deadly Spell and other stuff. And was like, okay, let's put him in Oz.
It didn't start until 1997, so it's just, I don't know, it's just so interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, Oz is what we know him best for. A lot of people will probably know him best from Wayne's World. He plays.
He's like one of the friends.
He plays Terry. Yeah, he plays the I love you man.
Yeah.
Type of guy, in that, and he's one of the guys who's headbanging to, in the backseat to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
But before this, I knew him most as Chet in the Weird Science TV show.
I never watched that because
I watched it some. It's
really
not terrible. I watched the TV show but had not seen the movie until like years later.
Oh, see, I was obsessed with the movie, so I was like, this has no one I care about in the movie, so I don't care.
He's good as Chet. He's a really good Chet. I don't know if that's available streaming anywhere, but it's I think it's worth watching.
Like he's better than like Bill Paxton Chet.
It's tough to say because Bill Paxton only gets like an hour and a half at most to be Chet. Whereas this guy had like multiple seasons and could do more stuff. So they're different, but you know, yeah. Anyway, we'll see Lee again in the other 1991 movies: Killing Mind, Point Break, and Acting Sheriff. This is when he's really starting to get his start in the acting world, and he has 4 movies this year. To true crime and pop culture, I guess.
So I don't really have a lot of information because this movie was released 2 days before Solo con tu pareja, so a lot of the TV and music is a lot of the same. But I mean, this was a Saturday night, and you know, I tried to look up Saturday Night Live, and Saturday Night Live was still on, you know, it's summer break, I guess, and didn't come back until the end of September.
We do not have the TV guide for this week either.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, I did look. I was looking up stuff about H.P. Lovecraft. The author, and there's a lot of stuff about him that's controversial.
Okay.
But I didn't really want to get into it. Huh?
Do you know about like when he was active? Like what year ranges?
In like the early 1900s. He died in 1937.
Okay.
So I mean, I just went online and I found a whole bunch of stuff about him. I was like, this is like a separate episode. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to get into it, but there is like controversial stuff like about his political beliefs, and he was also like a racist.
Okay.
So maybe that explains the zombies, but I don't know.
I mean, if it's in the books, I guess, then maybe partly, but...
Yeah, I never... Like, I think...
I mean, I think a lot of people pre-1960s were more openly racist than they are now, so...
But, yeah, I tried to read his books, and it's, like, very... I don't know how to explain it.
Was it, like, dense?
Yeah, I guess that's the term, because it's kind of like reading a textbook. I don't know.
Oh.
But yeah. I want to read a story.
Mm-hmm. And just have like these magical things like sprinkled in.
Yeah. I want to read about like some actual I don't know, like give me some monsters and stuff immediately. I don't know. I just couldn't get into I only tried one book, and I know he has a ton. I was just like, okay, I give up. But I do like Eldritch Horror.
The board game.
The board game.
Yeah.
Those are fun. Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of Lovecraft stuff has popped up in the last 10 years or so overall. Yeah. This is kind of surprising to see it show its face.
Yeah, from 30 years ago. Yeah.
I'd be surprised if we have any sort of other Lovecraftian inspired thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in this list.
In 91, yeah, probably. But I did look up some stuff that was on TV Saturday night. And we haven't talked about a busted pilot in a while, but yeah. I found a busted pilot. Okay. What was on ABC first was a show called World of Discovery, which is just a nature show.
Yeah. That sounds familiar.
I mean, this is Saturday night. It's like either you're watching a movie, probably this movie on HBO, or like, you know, Cops or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. Like, there's no primetime TV shows happening.
Yeah, they expect people to be out doing stuff on Saturdays.
Yeah. More so back in those. Not really now, because you can.
Yeah, now they try to tie you to the screen as much as possible. Back then they're like, oh, well, people have lives, so we'll just kind of throw
let's
junk
just
on
play
the TV
a bunch of junk.
Let them do whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Then after that was The Young Writers, which we talked about before. That's that Western with Stephen Baldwin and Josh Brolin is in it. And on CBS, so they did have a movie on, and it was Police Academy 5.
Oh.
So if you were not watching Cast a Deadly Spell, you're probably watching Police Academy 5 on CBS. After that...
I just wish we had a Police Academy movie in this.
I know, there's like so many.
Yeah, there's so many, and we missed it.
Yeah.
I think number 6 was in 92 or 93.
Oh, yeah. Because 5 is in 88.
Yeah, we just missed the boat.
Yeah.
Police Academy.
I mean,
Friday the 13th,
I used to watch those movies. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we watched all of them. Every single one of them.
So, okay, after that, this was at 10 p.m. So after Police Academy 5 was over, there was a busted pilot called Mimi and Me.
Okay.
Do you want to guess anything about it?
Is Mimi the name of someone famous?
No.
Okay, then I have no clue. Maybe it's like Mimi Rogers or something.
No.
Like, I don't know.
So Mimi and Me it's a crime comedy. So like this movie.
Okay. The Gremlins?
No, I don't. Well, no. This is like a really weird concept, but it didn't last past this episode. So it's uptight. It's about an uptight student orthodontist who meets a kooky and unpredictable free spirit by the name of Mimi and winds up pursued by a bunch of bad East German thugs.
Okay. So it's like Dharma and Greg on the Lam.
Yeah, like set in World War II?
Really?
I don't know. That's why I'm like, I'm like, what the...
Well, was it set in World War
II? It doesn't say, but I'm just guessing because East German thug. Yeah. But I looked at, the person the actress who plays Mimi, her name is Terry Farrell. She was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, so someone I know would probably know who she is.
Okay.
She was also in the show Becker. I was trying to find, I was like, I've never seen her.
My parents watched Becker. I did not back in the day.
The orthodontist was played by the actor Howard Mcgillin. I don't know him either. But he did a lot of random voice acting. Like, most recently that I saw, like, he did the singing voice for someone in South Park.
Huh. It's always fascinating to me, like, the people who have, like, the on-screen and the voice acting careers. Like,
he did a lot of voice for, like, he did... Well, he's not really credited as a person. He's just known as, like, part of the chorus or additional voices.
Yeah, yeah.
So even for the movie Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback of Notre Dame. So he's just done voice work.
Just there for, like, filler or
singing.
whatever,
Yeah. But yeah, that's what this was on. That's what this was about.
So it was just like the one episode that aired.
Yeah, it was a busted pilot. It's just, we sort of talked about it before. Where
cool
they just show it and they're like, okay, it didn't do well.
Yeah.
Even though it was on Saturday night at 10 p.m., so no one's watching this.
Right, but they probably already passed on this series. We're like, well, we already paid for the pilot. We'll just play
it's either like dead air or this
cool.
show.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, on Fox was Cops. 2 episodes of Cops, and then Totally Hidden Video. And then a show called Best of the Worst. Have you heard of this?
No, but it sounds like it'd be another, like, America's Funniest Home Videos type of a clone.
Sort of. I mean, this was hosted by Greg Kinnear, too. And then I was like, when was Talk Soup? Because wasn't he the first Talk Soup host?
I think he was.
So he was doing, like, Talk Soup and this. But this is a competition.
Talk Soup might have been after. I
think Talk Soup started... I think I looked this up, and Talk Soup started in 91 with Greg Kinnear. I didn't have
E back when Talk Soup was starting, so...
Yeah, I didn't really start watching Talk Soup until it was Jim Henson, but then it quickly became...
Not Jim Henson.
John Henson.
John Henson.
Yeah.
The guy who went on to do Wipeout later on.
Yes, John Henson, and then Hell Sparks. Like, I remember absolutely watching it around that time.
Yeah, I don't think I probably even had the channel until, like, the Hell Sparks era, because we got channels late in our hometown. Our cable system was very behind the times.
Okay, so this is a show that's a competition for the worst jobs in America.
Okay.
And hosted by Greg Kinnear, but then there's a Japanese correspondent on this, so I have no further information. It was
okay.
It was, and then there's like a trivia that said that this show was canceled due to a prank pulled by Rooster Teeth's Bernie Burns, and I was like, what?
I've heard of Rooster Teeth, which came out like in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, that's all I
don't know who Bernie is because I don't know anyone in Rooster Teeth. I just know of that group.
Right.
So
it was canceled due to that.
Some prank, huh? So
it's
it was
due
sort
to
of like
prank.
a punked type of a deal, maybe.
Yeah, the show. Okay, I'm gonna read a review.
Okay.
They'll say this show starred Greg Kinnear, who was interesting in that it was an early reality-based show that highlighted bizarre contests. For example, they showed Japanese game shows like Endurance that were strange at the time, is an early influence of like Fear Factor. It was fun to see Greg, he was as a producer of the show, ended up as a host, where he's able to showcase his sense of humor that served him well as an actor. But yeah, it's like it kind of sounds Talk Soup-ish. Like, he's just watching Japanese game shows,
right,
and commenting on it.
Yeah, we'll have to look and see if maybe there's like a YouTube clip of it or something somewhere we can post it on.
I mean, it kind of sounds like early, because it's Best of the Worst, so he's probably getting really horrible TV shows and commenting on what's the best of the worst.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we can find
there's so much random TV in 91 that we're discovering. That
I know. This is like my favorite part
about.
Is finding out like these shows I've never even heard of. And then I'm like, I want to watch these things.
I know.
And then
like even that pilot, like I'd watch an episode.
Really?
Just to see,
I don't know.
I don't know. Like it sounds stupid, but like I'm curious just to know what.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would watch some of these busted pilots just to be like, how horrible are these things?
It might be funny to laugh at.
After that, on NBC, it's The Golden Girls, Empty Nest, Dear John, and Sisters, which we talked about before.
We'll move on to rankings and ratings. So on your 1 to 5 star scale, where would you put Cast a Deadly Spell?
I'm just gonna give this a 1.
Wow. Okay. That's surprising.
I was kind of like, I think I was just disappointed by how it ended. I was like, that's it?
Okay. I
mean, I don't really hate this movie. But I was just like, okay, that's it.
I'm gonna go higher.
Okay.
So on my 0 to 4 star scale, I'm gonna give it. I'm oscillating between a 2.5 and a 3, honestly, because again, it's a good concept. There's a lot of good stuff that happens in there. I think I'll go 2.5. I think the plot is maybe just like a little bit too basic. It's not as funny as it wants to be, but like the creatures are cool, the effects are generally cool, the production values are really high for a TV movie. So all that together, good actors, good acting. So I'm gonna go 2.5.
Okay.
Every movie's worth watching once. Would you watch it again?
Kind of no. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
I would watch the sequel because I'm curious to see what happens in that.
Yes, I would definitely watch the sequel.
I wouldn't watch this again because I already know what happens and I don't care to watch it again.
Yeah, and again, like a couple of like the twists were not fully expected, I guess. Like some, like the double crossing stuff that happened in there, like I don't know, whatever. But yeah, we already know what happens, and I'd rather see some other like fantasy stuff of the era rather than this again, or the sequel. But if you out there want to watch Cast Deadly Spell, as of this recording in September 2021, it's available on HBO Max, digital rental, or as a VHS. As always, check your local listings. As for us, you can listen to us on all the major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. It really does help us out a lot. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of 800 plus movies along with show notes and more. Next week, we'll be joined by our first guests on the podcast as we go into horror month and we're going to be watching The People Under the Stairs, which is available as a digital rental, VHS, or DVD. We'll see you then.